What is going on, guys? Today we are looking at Freeze Casemiro. He is a new centre-back in the game. He starts himself at CDM as only an 89 rated player. Obviously, as we go forward into the kind of higher rated players, normally they don't go up too much, because if they give him a 91, 92 and suddenly he hits a flourish of form and goes inform after inform after inform, we will be seeing a 99 Casemiro before too long. But it's an interesting one. For me, I'm not a big fan of him as centre-back. I like him as a player, and I think he's a good CDM. I still don't think, personally, for me, over Conte, he wins. But in terms of kind of stats and what he can do, maybe animations are a little bit blocky in my liking, but he is still a good CDM. As a centre-back, for me, I just think he just doesn't work as well as I'd want him to. And I think I made a great point in Marquinhos' review. You could swap them to. You have two Brazilians. You have, obviously, Marquinhos as the SBC for Freeze as a CDM. You could swap him with Casemiro and play Casemiro as a CDM and Marquinhos as the centre-back, as they both, obviously, kind of like mirrored each other's positions and changed. So, for me, I think that's a great one. What would you recommend? Would you prefer Casemiro as a centre-back or a CDM? Let me know down below. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're trying to hit 200 more subs to get to 7k before Christmas. If we can, that would be absolutely amazing. So let's get into it and let's see what Casemiro is all about. So Casemiro, he is the 2-star skiller, 3-star weak foot, and I think that's already straight off the bat number one why I'm not a massive fan of having him in my FUT Champs team. In terms of friendlies and in terms of kind of maybe a bit of fun in rivals, happily. He's a good CDM. If I've got a La Liga team, he definitely makes the cut in terms of a CDM. There is, mind you, some really nice players coming through. Maybe not quite the rating that he is, but definitely for the price difference, you're looking at people who are quite decent, to be honest. His own teammate Valverde is quite a good CM. You've got Llorente coming in, who, again, not quite got up there just yet. He's managed to get I think it was a rule breaker and an inform, both at 84. Again, nowhere near the rating, but he's nowhere near the price as well. Casemiro's coming in at 353 on the Xbox and 568 on the PS4. So massive price tag for him. Obviously, being a 90 rated, he is going to be quite a high player, and at Real Madrid, and also being Brazilian. Some really good kind of credentials for him right there. In terms of traits, we have got team player, solid player, and a power free kick. For me, I don't know what team player, solid player actually does in terms of traits. If you do know, let me know down below. I've been wondering that for a while now. He has got a low attacking work rate with a high defensive, which always works in his favour. He is 6'1" and right-footed. So, to be honest, the credentials bar from the weak foot is pretty good. Skill moves, I always like to have 3 or 4 no matter the position, bar from like actual defense, just because if you do get yourself into a sticky situation and maybe a ball roll, literally just a simple ball roll, can open up that space for you, maybe give you that literal second to pass the ball off. Casemiro is not going to be able to do that as quickly as other players, and especially other players in that defensive role that potentially have that 3-4-star skills. The weak foot, I always like a minimum of 4, especially the defensive players, because I want them to be able to use both feet. With attackers being left, right-footed, they could be 5-star, 5-star. You've got to be able to attack both. And if you are kind of like favouring that right foot, if they start now going onto your left, it's just going to be game over, really. And in terms of the stats then, is what you expect. Pace is okay, nothing really too spectacular, but it's okay. You've got a bit of passing, 85 on the short and long, with the 81 vision. It's good enough in terms of the specific stats. As an overall, it's average. Shooting, we're not too fussed about with a CDM or centre-back. Dribbling wise, poor agility balance, which I think leads to his blocky kind of style. I think that is just heavily animations for him. We've got 88 reactions, which is brilliant. We've got 80 ball control, which is good, but not quite gravy. We've got 70 dribbling and 85 composure, which is good enough. I think you've got like another month or two, and probably 85 potentially could be low in terms of what we're getting in terms of special cards. We are now starting to see some really high rated cards. If you have the coins, then that is what you're going to go with. And in terms of his defensive ability, that is where he really flourishes. 90 defending and 92 physical, you can't argue with it. He's had a really nice upgrade from his CDM card, managing to get himself a plus 13 on his pace, a minus 8 on his shooting, which we're not really too fussed about. We've got a plus 4 on his defending, 1 on his dribbling, physical, and passing. So some really nice upgrades for him. He's got cracking defending, and people are still wanting more to give him that shadow, which turns him into either a 94 centre back or a 91 CDM. So cracking stats right there. But I think personally for me, he definitely needs to be that CDM. It's just my personal opinion. I prefer him there. You could whack him with an anchor, kind of like justify a little bit by giving him more physicality and taking away a little bit more of that pace. And it turns him into a 94 centre back or a 91 DM. And if you are adamant that he needs to be a centre back, you definitely need to have that shadow. I feel like an anchor is just not going to give you that range of pace that you really need with him, because his acceleration only goes up to 82 with a shadow, but he does have the 93 sprint speed. So you've always got to be wary with him. I personally would play him as a centre back, as the kind of like the last man centre back. I don't want him going up and attacking unless you have someone like Varane holding back on him. I would much prefer for him to be the jockey centre back, someone who's going to clean house, and that's about it. Make them interceptions, because that's what he's good at. In terms of going and kind of like maybe lunging for a challenge, I don't think that's going to suit his style of play. But let's get into some gameplay and see what Casemiro is all about. So what did I find from him? I played him at centre back for a game. We was doing the one league, and I just weren't a fan with him at centre back. I felt like he was getting beat on too quickly. His turning wasn't quite as nice. As soon as I put him back in that CDM role, it just felt like, it just felt normal with him. Much better in my opinion. And some people may like him as a centre back. Personally for me, I just think he creates more. He's more involved in the game, and he's just better to play with as that CDM. And like I say, you swap him and Marquinhos, like how we had last year with obviously Kante being a centre back. I didn't like him. I thought he could play it, and he definitely can. But in terms of what I actually want, I think he doesn't have them stats or that animation personally for my liking. But as a CDM, I thought he was absolutely cracking. He has great defensive ability. On the ball, he's good. He's not quite amazing, but he's good enough. Defensively is obviously his main stat. It's his main kind of point. Pace-wise, with a shadow, was much better. I tried him with a basic to start with, just to see what the actual difference was, because it's not like he's got like really low, like mid-60 kind of pace. But I like to see what that 88 actually does with him. And honestly, you could actually notice a noticeable difference with it. I feel like that shadow is key to that card doing really well. We can see again interception after interception, doing really well in that defensive position and really holding his own in terms of kind of going to them attackers and really bringing the play to the other player. So I was really happy with him. He's good, but the price tag, I don't know. So in terms of the overall then, Casemiro is coming 520, 555 on the PlayStation. Obviously, it does go up and down consistently throughout the day. Obviously, when we're getting towards promo packs at 6 PM, this video should be out after that anyway. So you would have seen the price kind of go up and down a little bit more. I've personally given him a 9 out of 10. I feel like he could have been 9.5, potentially 10, if he had the 4 or 5 star weak foot. Maybe the skill moves I wouldn't really deduct a point too heavily on being a CDM with low skills, but definitely the weak foot, I would like at least 1 more star. In terms of acceleration, that for me is a key one. Agility balance is a little bit lower. I feel like you could find someone with just that higher agility balance that works really well in their favor. The key stats, the physical, the defending, the kind of passing, but the actual short, long, and then vision are all nice. They're all high and right, and I think that's what kind of makes this card better than somebody else who's got the complete all round, but not necessarily got that 90 defending or 92 physical. Maybe they've got 85 passing, 80 dribbling, but then only got 87 defending, 80 physical. That for me is where Casemiro really comes up trumps, and if he can continue this form and informs to get to maybe a 92, 93, and hopefully into the team of the season, we could see a very well-rounded CDM there with maybe 80 plus passing. We could then see a lot more kind of improvements on his agility balance, and then defending just keeps going up. Even if it only has to go up by +1, if you get 3 or 4 more upgrades, we can then start seeing 94 defending with the 93 physicality. But It all depends on what they do, because obviously with this freeze card, there is a big shift in what stats they have. Obviously the plus on the pace and then the minus on the shooting. I believe if he got an inform that was 91, it would revert back to the 89 stats, so we'd see more on his shooting and less on like defending and pace. So it swings and roundabouts. I think this card idea, and I do like the kind of big upgrades in different positions, it works really well. It makes you think, could he actually play there? We saw Ramos from in real life going from a right back to a centre back, and it may not seem like a lot, but that is a big position move. The right back, even though he played practically centre back anyway, it's a big step up, being the last man of defence, the big boy centre-back, and then obviously going forward and captain and all of that great stuff for Real Madrid. It's a big position no matter where you go. But Casemiro, for me, link-wise, Real Madrid, we've got a lot of good players. We've got a lot of informs, and like I say, you do get pretty much a full 11 special Real Madrid very, very quickly. It's just one of them things. They have a lot of specials, and they work well with it. Brazil, plenty of specials. Again, you've got the Bundesliga have a couple of Brazilians, the Premier League have a couple of Brazilians, and more than likely you could probably make a team with at least five leagues in it. And in terms, finally, on his kind of start of his career, he started off in Brazil and pretty much straight away went to Real Madrid, gone on a loan move to Porto, and you can see him slowly getting into the Real Madrid squad. FIFA 17 is where he really flourished with a few of the special cards, his most special card season so far, and then he went into FIFA 18, getting another team of the season moment in FIFA 19. Then he managed to rectify himself and get a 92 team of the season during FIFA 20, where he was an 87 rated card to begin with and only a 92 team of the season. So already we are only 2 ratings away from that with his big upgrade to an 89 this season. Can we see like a 96, 97 team of the season Casemiro CDM? I can't wait for that one. That one will be a very, very good card, especially with the links that he possesses. I think he has got the potential to be a really good card in CDM. But let me know down below what you think about Casemiro. Would you play him at centre back, or would you play him in that CDM role? Let me know down below. Make sure you sub and like this video, and I'll see you all for the next one. Peace.